Welcome to Policy on Demand. I'm Scott McCandless. It is the week of March 2nd, and this is your Monday briefing. The House and Senate are in session this week. On Tuesday, the House Ways and Means Committee will question IRS CEO Frank Bisignano about, among other things, implementation of last year's tax law, while the Joint Economic Committee examines a potential border-adjusted tax. While Congress continues to grapple with domestic issues, including the ongoing lapse in Department of Homeland Security funding, recent U.S. military actions involving Iran are likely to overshadow those issues, beginning with the administration's briefing of Congress on Tuesday. Joining me today to talk about trade and geopolitical developments is Craig Stronberg. Craig, welcome.
Thanks, Scott. Good to see you.
Great to have you with us again. So we've got a pretty serious development going on here, and there have really only been a few days to process the dramatic events going on in the Middle East. Could you share your perspective about this and what the geopolitical landscape is looking like right now?
So in a word, I would say unsettled.
Okay.
Look, if you step back from all of the current events and all the things that are coming through every company's inbox and all the news, I think what is really happening here is that there's been a debate amongst companies, pundits, politicians, policymakers as to whether or not we are in a multilateral or a bipolar world. And I think what this episode and previous episodes in the last couple of months show us is we're actually in a unipolar world. And U.S. decision-making has global impacts, and what the U.S. decides to do with its national and foreign policy is the primary driver of geopolitical change at this moment in time.
Okay. You had mentioned companies, so let's focus on them for a moment. Could you talk a little bit about some of the questions you're getting from them, but also some of the advice you're sharing with them?
So I think it comes in two varieties, right? There's strategic questions and tactical questions. Tactical questions are coming about the impact on commodities. They're coming about the fact that a key geographic node for global logistics and supply chain is being directly affected. I think companies are very good at reacting to those tactical questions. They're able to get their people home. They're able to find alternative supply chains. I think they're fine in terms of resolving many of the things that need to be resolved today and this week. I think where I'm getting, and I'm going to get more questions, is on the strategic stuff. And that gets to sort of what I said before, which is we are living in a world where U.S. foreign policy is acting in accordance with what the administration says. And I think one of the takeaways that I would have here is what we talked about when we talked about Latin America a few weeks ago, which is the administration is being pretty direct about what it intends to do. And I think it was very direct about what it intended to do for Iran. Companies need to take the administration at its word. But I also think they need to plan for a world in which the global reaction to what is happening in the Middle East is going to change perceptions about the U.S. over the long term. Not all those will be negative, but it is going to change those perceptions. And those will change investments. They will change foreign direct investment. They will change the deals environment. They will change how we can get agreements done geopolitically and diplomatically. And they will change where countries around the world ally and partner themselves. So I don't think we should look at what's happening here as an isolated event. I think it is the beginning and the continuation of a large-scale geopolitical disruption to the operating environment that will cause readjustments in strategy for many companies.
Well, it's a heavy conclusion, and I don't want to pivot off of that to yet another serious topic, but I would like to talk a little bit about North America, and specifically the US-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA. It's been in the news a little bit lately, perhaps a little bit off the radar, but I think it needs to be in focus now. Could you talk a little bit about why it is on the top of many conversations, and what exactly you're hearing from companies across the region?
It has been off the radar, and I think it's probably right because Venezuela and Iran and other things, right, have sort of taken up a lot of the oxygen in the room. Yeah. But again, I go back to taking the administration at its word. And I think the administration, particularly the president, has been pretty clear that while he wants there to be successful trade in North America, I don't know that the strategic assumption that USMCA is going to be renewed is a sure one at the moment. I think he is going to carefully consider it, and it's clear that the U.S. Trade Representative is working very hard to secure the deal. But I don't think companies should be surprised if we face an issue over the summer where the U.S. could shift its trade relationships on the continent to instead having a one-on-one trade deal with Mexico, which would probably be the priority for the administration, and then possibly, or even likely, a one-on-one trade deal with Canada, which is also a key trading relationship. I don't think that anybody should rest their future operations on the assumption that USMCA's passage is going to be smooth sailing. And if this falls apart, and I'm hoping it doesn't, but if it does, this is going to hit over the summer and the 4th of July break, and a lot of people are going to be out, and a lot of companies will have to do a lot of rapid backpedaling. So what I would think about now, sitting here in March, is what can you do to prepare for this eventuality? What can you do for the possibility that your tax, your trade, your customs schemes and operations and strategies may have to be readjusted on the fly just a few months from now? I think that is a valid exercise for companies, and I would highly encourage them to undertake it.
That's great advice, and I hope companies do follow through with that. We're seeing a lack of trilateral negotiations, as you mentioned. It's U.S.-Mexico talks, it's U.S.-Canada talks, which seems perfectly consistent with what you're seeing.
Precisely. So fingers crossed, but I think it's better to be prepared than caught unaware.
Absolutely. Great advice. Greg, as always, phenomenal insights. Really appreciate you being with us, and we look forward to having you back soon. Thank you.
Good to see you.
You as well. And for our viewers, before we close today, you'll see in the description of this episode a link to a clip about refunds following the Supreme Court's decision in the IEEPA case, as well as the latest Week in Review with Rohit Kumar. Thanks so much for watching us. Have a great week and take care.